Stacey Glenn is a brokerage associate and team leader with John R. Wood Properties, a Christie's International Realty affiliate in Southwest Florida. Stacey, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you. I've been excited about getting together with you because a couple things. You're a rock star in the Southwest Florida market, and
Thank you.
B, I'm a big fan of the Southwest Florida market. I've always dreamed and aspired of being a large boat owner, and I think that
Okay.
that's probably one of the boating capitals of the world. There's so much accessibility there in the Fort Myers and Southwest Florida area as far as boating goes. So, big fan, and thank you for your time. I'm so glad we could connect.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I want to hear more about this boat that you want to get one day. We can
Yeah.
talk all about
How
the
much?
ins and outs
Yeah. Oh, are
of
you a
the
boat
canal
owner?
systems and the waterways and all of the different kind. Yeah, so I start
Yeah.
asking, all right, I'm getting off topic, so you can circle back and ask me about boating. I get
Oh, wait,
excited.
that's probably, yeah, that I love that. It's probably a topic for another podcast episode. I could probably go on and on about my boating aspirations, but before we talk about your real estate work there in the area, Stacey, share with listeners a little bit about your background. Where are you from originally?
Okay, sure. I'm 42 years old. I've lived in Southwest Florida since I graduated college and I was 22, so 20 years. I grew up on a feedlot, cattle feed yard and cattle ranch in Kansas, out in the middle of nowhere, and went to Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas, and thought I wanted to be an attorney, and then changed that to business, and never expected to get into real estate. I don't think a lot of people do. Um, I moved to Southwest Florida after graduating college and started working at the Chico's world headquarters. Chico's is a women's clothing company. So Chico's, White House Black Market, Soma,
Hmm.
and worked in their real estate department for a little while. Um, I I resigned, moved to Japan with a professional baseball player that I just met and freaked my parents out. Um, yeah, we got
Speaking of
married
another
and
podcast episode.
yes, we got married and we started a business, had a couple kids, and then very quickly got divorced. And so I was like, well, I got my real estate license when I was pregnant with my second child in order to help him. Maybe I should back up. So he retired from professional baseball in Japan and wanted to get into real estate in Southwest Florida, where we had met. And so when we came back, I was um, when I was 9 months pregnant with my son, I got on and started getting my real estate license online.
Wow.
And and went into labor while taking the exam on
Holy
question
cow.
66. Anyway, I ended up we got divorced when my kids were 1 and 2, and I thought, well, what am I going to do with my life now? Like, do I go back and work corporate again and put them in daycare? Or do I use this license that I have and see what I can do with it? And so that's what I decided to do.
Wow, a lot to unpack there. There's actually a couple of podcast episodes there. The
Okay.
story of taking the the real estate exam. Wow, unbelievable. That's amazing. Was what drew you to Southwest Florida after college? Was it Chico's? Was it the corporate job?
No. Um, I had studied abroad and I was at Cambridge University in England, and I met a couple people that were from Southwest Florida. And so my senior year of college, I'd fly down or, come visit. And I just loved getting off that plane and walking out of the airport and seeing the palm trees and the warm weather. And just, I wanted to have some adventure.
It's like paradise down there, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. I know that feeling. You were bringing back some memories there as you were describing stepping off the plane and walking out of the airport into um, sunny Florida, warm weather, and seeing the palm trees. Yeah, that brings back some memories. It's been a long time, but that's yeah another one of the things that I love most about that area, especially now that it's getting cold. I mean, I'm in North Carolina. The climate's not too bad here. It's pretty, pretty mild, but it was 34 degrees this morning when I got up. So
Whew.
it's could
So
use a
it's
little bit of that
52. We
south.
had that little cold snap that came down
Yeah,
from Canada. You probably, yeah, we don't
that's
know how to
right.
dress when it gets that cold. So I'm
It got
actually
all the way.
sitting outside in my backyard right now and it's 78 degrees.
It looks beautiful. Yeah, it got all the way down to 52, huh?
Hmm. Yeah, we
That's
have to wear
awesome.
socks.
Yeah. So you started practicing. Made the decision that this was the career pivot for you. With all of those circumstances that were going on at the time, I can't even imagine how you managed to uh, go through the courses and get your license. And the story, like I don't even know how to unpack that story about you going into labor on question 66. That's crazy. But here you are. How many years have you been in the industry now?
My son will be 13 in January. So
Okay.
that's how I count it.
Yep. I
Um,
gotcha.
but I really started, it takes a while from when you get licensed to when you actually start
Yeah.
making money. And so I would say it wasn't until 2015 that I was actually doing it. It'll be 10 years now, like actually working the business.
What was going on in that first 2 years? There was probably a lot of family stuff going on at the time as well. But were you just trying to find your way in the real estate industry, or were you just not? You just hadn't dove in 100%.
Well, I got licensed in January of 2013.
Hmm.
And I remember the first time we loaded up. I had two kids 17 months apart, which seemed like a great idea at the time. So we load up this 1 year old and this newborn in the car, and my ex husband, my then husband, was driving, and I'm in the passenger seat. And I remember we pull out of the community to go look at real estate, and he's asking me, you know, can I buy this for? What are, how much am I going to be able to sell it for? What are the comps? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I didn't know anything. All I knew was how to pass my real estate test, right? And what the
Yeah.
laws were. That's basically what they're teaching you, or what are the laws so you don't get, break any laws. And he had no confidence in me and actually told me that no one would ever buy a house from me because I did not know what I was doing. And so my confidence
That kind of light a
was
fire.
rushed. Well, later on, but I mean, my confidence was totally crushed. So I did end up, we did end up buying a property, and I listed it, and it was way overpriced, and he told me what to price it for. I didn't know what I was doing. Um, and it was a total failure. And then another agent took it over, and we ended up getting divorced. And it wasn't until really February of 2015, 2 years later, that I had a fresh start, you know? And so at that
Gotcha.
point,
Yep.
what I started doing was coaching, real estate coaching, because I wanted to know everything about it. If I'm gonna do this, let me educate myself. So I started watching videos. I ran across Tom Ferry, um, watched a lot of his stuff, ordered his Breakthrough by Design, which was a CD program at the time. Still had a CD player, I guess, um, or DVD player, maybe. And got into coaching, and that led me down a whole path of discovery. The Hal Elrod Miracle Morning routine was huge for me. had at that time a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, I think, something like that. And I would wake up in the morning. They would pop out of bed like Pop Tarts at 6 a.m. I don't understand it. They still do it, but so I would wake up at 4 a.m. so that I could be ahead of them, and I would do this morning routine. And I would get dressed like I had $1 million listing appointment to go on, do my hair, do my makeup, go down and just do the things I was supposed to do. And I kept doing that until finally it happened.
Became a habit, and you kind of manifest it as sort of a process of manifestation. I've never actually read Miracle Morning. It's been recommended so many times. That was a real big impact for you.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's 6 things that you do. So you're like showing gratitude, right? Saying things that you're grateful for and things that you're proud of. Um, Sometimes you're grateful for bad things that happen because they make you stronger, you know. And it started to transform my mind instead of thinking about negative to being grateful, which is
Mhm.
helpful. You affirmations, you do visualizations of what you want to happen. You're exercising, you're reading, you're writing. So you're just strengthening your core um, capabilities, priming yourself for the day.
I had a guest on recently who he brought up a really good point. He coaches, he puts together like webinars for his team and also agents elsewhere throughout the company, and he made a really good point. He said, "I don't do it so much to teach as much as I do it to make sure that I know the content and the topic like cold." He's like, I learned so much, like I really learned so much about the subject matter by coaching and teaching it. And you know, I think that really kind of it was a really cool way that he kind of reframed that mindset, and it I thought it was really interesting, and I feel like that's a really great way for an agent or a professional in any industry, really, to if there's an aspect of the business or the industry that you want to learn more about, maybe consider teaching it, right? And through the process of going through like a webinar or a lesson plan or an outline or that sort of thing, and really nailing down to me, it feels like a great way to really nail down the subject.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because if you're going to teach it to someone, you hold yourself accountable, you better know it.
That's right.
So it's
That,
like, yeah, you're paying
that's
attention.
right. Tom Ferry's been recommended quite a few times as well. I've watched a lot of his stuff on YouTube. I've followed a lot of podcasts, and obviously extremely well known throughout the industry and highly successful. Are you still are you still participating in his programs and his content?
I'm not right now. I've been on and off over I've done about 7 years worth of coaching. I'm
Hmm.
not because I got really sick earlier this year and I had to just stop doing a lot of things. I took 3 months off where I was in bed every day. So
Wow.
I just got back into working in August. And so I just had to say no at that point. And when I feel like when I fall off the wagon, I'm like, okay, I got to get back to the fundamentals and to my morning routine and everything. But I was just watching his podcast this morning with Jimmy Mackin and Jason
Hmm.
Pantana, the new one that they're doing, the growth podcast, and it's
Hmm.
really good stuff. Talking about what's going on with Showing Time and Zillow and everything right now.
Yeah, that's top of mind. I'll have to check that out for sure. I saw some I saw some thumbnails about that. I haven't actually listened to the new stuff yet, but I'll check that out because that's all very timely as well. I'd love to hear what they have to say on those topics.
Yeah, because Zillow bought Showing Time, but they bought the follow up Boss CRM, and they
Hmm.
changed so now they're allowed to use. So it's really interesting. But anyway,
It's crazy. That's again. Yeah, we're just I'll add that to the list of other podcast episodes
Yeah,
because
there you
that's
go.
probably we could probably take some time to talk about that one as well. Let's talk a little bit about the Southwest Florida market. What's going on in Florida right now? Of course, we hear a lot of things throughout the country, and every market's got its own challenges right now. I think that coming out of the whirlwind that was the pandemic market has really kind of, I don't know, kind of really been a challenge for a lot of us, especially I would say in the Southeast and the Southwest. Um, what are you seeing mostly in the Southwest Florida market right now?
Yeah. Okay, so headlines, by the time something's in the newspaper headlines, it's already history, okay?
Mhm.
And they're all manipulated in order to get you to read the headlines. So that said, um, I think that Southwest Florida has really been ahead of the rest of the country in terms of the trends of what's been happening because we were one of the first states to reopen after the the nationwide shutdown, right? And so when our state opened in June of 2020, then we had a large influx of people moving into the area, but still so much fear. But people that I have clients that were own businesses up in Pennsylvania, for example, then they were just fed up with the fact that their state would not allow them to work. They couldn't run their own business. So they're like, well, what am I going to do? And they had the foresight to say, I'm going to buy something right now at this moment when everybody else thinks that the world is falling apart, right? And we saw values go up 75% on average from pre-COVID. So, say January, February of 2020 until June of 2022. And the market was just insane. And then since that peak, we've seen a big change. So that was when the stock market had a correction. So everyone kind of pulled back. We're like, what are we doing here? We then had Hurricane Ian, which is one of the largest hurricanes that we've had in September of 2022. That was like taking a big ant pile and knocking it over, and then everyone's rebuilding. So that stimulated our economy locally. We had a lot of movement when it wasn't expected to have during that period of time. But since that has passed, it has been nothing but reform in our insurance, industry here in Florida, and changes with the flood zones. And the affordability factor of Florida has been the biggest game changer for us. So we're still seen as affordable to most places in the country. But if for people who live here in Florida, when they have their cost of living go up so much and they're on a fixed income as they're retirees, and they're on Social Security or whatever, that's a big deal. And so we've had an exodus of those people out of the state of Florida, but still so many people moving here. So it's just constantly a change and, that's why we have, on average, people move every 5 years here in Florida. So,
Yeah, that makes sense. Were you affected as well last fall? There were a couple hurricanes, a couple storms. I think one went north of you guys, so I don't think but I think it still affected parts of Florida. I wasn't sure what last
yeah,
fall looked like.
we had two hurricanes in October last year, Helene and
Hmm.
Milton. I have properties that flooded in both of those, but they were not as bad as Hurricane Ian in 2022.
Yeah.
But it's brought all kinds of issues to the surface.
Thankfully had a quiet season this year, so that was good for sure.
So far, we're still in hurricane season until November
I,
30th. We got 16
I'm
more days.
I'm knocking on wood. I know we're
Yeah. Thank you.
not 100% over, but um, well, I think that Southwest Florida seems to have, from what I've seen, is still such a desirable area to live, and it has so much going for it. Um, what are what are the main areas that you're focusing on in your business, and who have been your sort of your biggest source of new business? You know, taking out previous clients and referrals. Where do you see most of your new business coming from?
I have a lot of, they're building a brand new hospital here, just just right over close to where I live, and so that has attracted many new doctors to the area, and so I've been helping quite a few medical professionals with finding homes. Um, and I always, it's for me, uh, retirees and snowbirds.
Hmm.
I work very well with them. I don't really with investors. You know, I do
Yeah,
have clients who are buying something as an investment property, but if someone's like, "Hi, I'm an investor," I'm like, "Yep, I'm not for you."
gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so your sweet spot is really helping those who are relocating, making a a a big life change and relocating to the state from out of state and probably at that retirement phase of their life as well.
Generally, yeah. Yep. So
Yeah.
it's all about how do you see yourself?
Yeah.
What do you see
Yeah,
yourself doing?
what are values like in the Fort Myers area? Are you primarily in the Fort Myers area?
Yes. I live in Fort
Okay.
Myers. I work Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Alva, which is a rural part of Fort Myers, and then
Mhm.
we have Bonita Springs and Estero.
Is there a lot there's kind of an element of horse culture there as well in Southwest Florida, isn't there?
Yes, in Ocala, they have the World Equestrian Center,
Yeah.
and, yeah, it's, the Roberts family, one of their, many ventures, and Wellington, Florida on the other coast, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What are values looking like these days in the Fort Myers market? Is it still you mentioned earlier compared to other markets in the country, Florida is still affordability is still fairly high for when you compare to the Northeast or the West Coast. But do you see some leveling out going on in the state?
Values, like I said, they went up 75% and then they went
Hmm.
down about 35%.
Okay.
But when you look at that over a 6-year period, uh, 30, 35, 40% appreciation, that's still a really good appreciation overall, as long as you didn't buy it at the peak.
Yeah.
For starter homes, that's where the problem is for Floridians who are looking at buying a starter home on their salaries that they make here. It's just nearly impossible. Um, but for retirees, I mean, especially when you're looking at a 0% state income tax, it's super affordable. Average home price is about 450,000 in in Lee County in the Fort Myers area, and then in Naples it's much higher. So when we look at the statistics for both together, we're at about 700,000 average sales price.
Interesting. Yeah. The affordability of starter homes is actually a big topic here in North Carolina as well. That continues to be a challenge here. Um, so yeah, that's the Fort Myers market's not alone when it comes to that. That's for sure. I would love to, before I let you go, Stacey, I would love to pick your brain a little bit on advice for agents who are thinking or who are either early in their journey or they're thinking about, or folks who are thinking about getting into the business and making real estate their career. Obviously, it goes through these cycles, this roller coaster, and it over the last several years, obviously, it's appeared to be extremely appealing and alluring for those who aren't familiar with the actual work that goes into being a successful real estate agent. What are some advice or tips you may have for someone who's early in their journey? And especially like I would love to know what sort of marketing channels that you lean on or that you've leaned on during your career.
Sure. I would say authenticity is the most important thing. There are many people and everyone's looking for something that's like them. Want an agent that they feel like gets them and they understand what they're looking for and who they are. And so if you are authentically yourself, then you will attract to you the kind of clients that are the easiest to work with you. If you do that and you always focus on giving more than you take and giving value as much as possible, then you'll attract your business. And I try to stay away from lead sources that where I have to pay referral fees. That real estate is a huge industry for advertisers to try to lure agents into spending money in order to get out of doing the hard work of prospecting and building their business by the fundamentals. And there are so many shiny, alluring things. And I've tried quite a few of them, especially in the beginning of my career, because you don't know. And I try to stay away from those for the most part. The ones that I do have, I pay a good amount of money for because they're worth it. So I think having a mentor in the industry is very critical, someone that you can bounce an idea off of. And I've migrated from like the 0% brokerages up to the elite brokerage where I am happy to pay a split to my broker because of all of the value that they provide to me. Absolutely. They're providing me more value than what they're taking, and that's what I strive to do.
I love that you brought that up. That's something that an agent I spoke with in Tampa over the summer talked about. Kristen Arsenault. She mentioned the same thing when she was looking at where to affiliate. She began with a brokerage that that the split was very favorable for the agent. However, she within a short period of time she moved to a brokerage that brought a lot more value to the table. And she I think her opinion and what you just said line up really well. She kind of underscored that new agents should really look at the the value of mentorship and the value that an established brand can bring to your business. So
Yeah.
that's definitely worth underscoring. And authenticity is another word that is mentioned a lot by successful brokers and agents on this podcast. So I love that you mentioned that as well.
I think Keller Williams is a fantastic brokerage for new agents because they do so much education, but I
Hmm.
was never affiliated with them and I wouldn't be now, but that's what I tell new agents that are looking.
Yeah, I agree. I yeah, that's a brand. If I were to kind of brainstorm real estate brands that are would be great resources or great places for a real estate agent to start their career, that's one brand that comes to mind for sure,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of all that education. Mentorship, yeah, is so valuable, and I would imagine even at your stage in your career now, you still have someone that you lean on for advice and mentorship.
I do, and that's actually why I switched brokerages. I was with a very prominent broker in the area for 6 years, and as a team leader, need to have leadership too. And they were fantastic, but I felt like there was a lack of someone for me to be able to go to and ask a question and get if I needed it. And so moving over to the current brokerage I'm at, the broker that I have, he is a has done coaching, like been a coach, and is an excellent mentor, and they keep their, faith at the center of what they do. So all of those things, I think that, I'm still growing because of the people that I surround myself with.
Yeah, that's a really great point too. The people that you surround yourself with. That's another commonality I find among elite agents is that they are very intentional about with whom they surround themselves, right?
Right.
Very intentional with that. So that's I love that you brought that up too, and that's definitely worth underscoring as well. Stacey, we're pushing 30 minutes, and I only asked you for 30, so I'm not going to keep you any longer. But is there anything else you wanted to add before we go?
No, I appreciate you asking me to be on your podcast and you putting out content and helping other agents. So, thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for those kind words. I will pick up Miracle Morning. I'll put that on my list of next reads. I'll definitely uh, pick that up and check it out. I'll have a link to some of Tom Ferry's stuff in the show notes as well. If listeners wanted to learn more about Tom Ferry, if somehow they are unaware, they can check that out. But how can listeners who may be in other markets that want to connect and network with you, how can they, what's the best way for them to do that?
I think I own every handle on social media for at Top Agent Florida. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, website topagentflorida. That's me.
I love it. Yep. Top Agent Florida. It's pretty easy to remember. I'll have that in the show notes as well. And look forward to tagging you on social media when I release this episode. Stacey, really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining the podcast.
Thank you, Jeff.